Welcome to Monday, July 6, 2020. You have the Day Weather Podcast, and we're going to talk about warm July days. It's going to be very warm all week, although the peak of the heat is going to come this weekend. Afternoon and evening thunderstorms are going to be around, but they're going to be spotty. We see today and tomorrow's thunderstorm activity, not unlike what we had over the 4th of July weekend, really wanting to be on the front range of the I-25 corridor of Wyoming and Colorado, and out on the eastern plains, while the western side of Colorado, Wyoming, western slope areas will be drier. Fire dangers will be increasing in the heat and the lower humidity in the coming days. We got to really be careful. The heat is going to really build to our east. We're going to see a dome of hot temperatures that will be grabbing headlines, developing over the southern plains of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, parts of Nebraska, and the Corn Belt. A hot dome of high pressure going to be building there, which it usually does in early July. But we'll show you why the southern plains are going to really get hot. Comet Neowise. Now, we occasionally talk about comets. We've had 2 comets this year that have really disappointed, but Comet Neowise is not disappointing. We'll talk about that as well. Here's the upper level pattern on this Monday. We've got a little bit of a trough along the Pacific Northwest coast. And notice the jet stream now is more towards Canada, finally migrating more northward. And high pressure now is really building over the southern plains, which it usually does in early July. And this is going to build up some heat here in the coming days. And this area of high pressure and heat will expand and grow as the week progresses. This is by Saturday morning. Notice the high pressure ridge building and really expanding from where we are today to where we are on Saturday. So this is going to be a dome of heat in the desert states and the southern plains. It's going to cause this bubble of heat that's going to extend from the southern plains and into portions of the Midwest this weekend. So we're going to see temperatures soar. These are high temperatures on Saturday. Look at some temperatures here along the front range of Colorado getting into the 100s. We're going to look at temperatures in southwest Kansas, eastern Colorado, the panhandles. Look at those high temperatures. So the extreme heat will be towards the southern plains and the desert southwest. You can see the really, really hot temperatures that are coming. Now a bit more temperate up here, closer to that jet stream and those cooler temperatures to the north. But even then, we've got some very warm temperatures coming our way. So folks, it's going to be a warm July week ahead with temperatures reaching their peak this upcoming weekend due to that hot dome of high pressure. Precipitation-wise, this looks a lot like the maps we showed you last week. Along and east of the Continental Divide, or along the divide, is where the best moisture will be for thunderstorms. Colorado's western slope, the western parts of Wyoming, into the Great Basin of Utah, parts of Arizona and Nevada, there's just very little moisture working its way in. So thunderstorms, while not widespread, are going to be most likely this week along and east of the divide, much like what we experienced over the 4th of July weekend. Now I want to show you the soil moisture anomaly and show you a continuation of where it's really getting the driest. Where it's getting the driest is where the temperatures are going to get the hottest. We call this feedback. When the ground gets really dry, the sun heats that ground up faster as compared if the ground was wet. So you tend to build heat quicker when the ground is drier. When the ground is drier and temperatures are hotter, you have evaporation rates that are very, very high. So when you do get rain, that rain goes away quickly. That's why droughts are a situation where you get into a feedback loop that's hard to break sometimes. So the hottest temperatures this upcoming weekend will be in this area here because the ground is so dry. If you look at where we have been over the last 90 days through this past Friday, anywhere you see brown or red, the last 90 days has had below normal precipitation. So you can really see this area here. This is the area that has been the driest. This is the area relative to average that will have the hottest temperatures compared to normal. So you can see why that heat's going to build easily. Notice in the high plains region, we have these patches of blue and green of above average or near average precipitation interdispersed with these pockets of gray and red and brown. So it's kind of a patchwork of wet and dry up north. These dry areas along I-70 continue to build. And again, We talk about La Nina all the time, but this is a classic symptom of cold water temperatures in the tropical Pacific. You tend to get some drier conditions that develop here first, then migrate north, and that's exactly what we're seeing here early in the summer season. Now, I want to talk about Comet Neowise. We've had two other comets early this year that have not survived their pass around the sun. They have fallen apart. There was high hopes that as these comets came, we were going to have a good show. Well, over the last few weeks, a new comet has shown up. It's gone around the sun and it survived this time. Comet Neowise is starting to put on a good show. And if the comet continues to stay bright, it's hanging around a magnitude 1 or 2, which is really bright. That is basically when you have a bright star type of magnitude of brightness. Right now, you have to be up right at sunrise, or really just before sunrise, and looking off to the east, northeast, and it's very low on the horizon. The comet, over the next few days, will only be at its peak around 20 degrees above the horizon to the east-northeast. You can find Venus here in the mornings, then go to the left and a little bit lower than Venus on a heading of about 60 degrees or so. And if you look off to the northeast just after sunrise, get some binoculars or a telescope, you're going to see the comet. It's very, very large. The good news is that as we go into the middle of July to the end of July, the comet will begin to show up in the evenings, so where you don't have to get up. The question will be will the comet hold its brightness over the next few weeks before fading and moving away? This is what it looked like this morning in Portal, Arizona. It's got a very large tail and becoming very bright. Go to spaceweather.com. That's one good place to see a lot of photos and to see those maps like I just showed you. By the 15th of July, a week from this coming Wednesday, this is after sunset. It's going to rotate to the northwest sky. You can find the Big Dipper and look below the Big Dipper. Notice it's still very low on the horizon. It's not going to be high on the horizon, but it will be showing up into the evenings in the middle part of the month. So get your cameras, your telescopes, and binoculars ready. This could be one of the best comets we've had in several years. Thanks for listening to watching the Day Weather Podcast. We'll see you on Tuesday.